the threat to the United States security has not diminished. But he also recognizes that due to the many other demands upon the national budgetary dollar, that he is not going to be able to maintain the active forces at a level that would permit turning back that threat. So our only alternative is to go to the reserve contingencies, and he has stated that the material support and priorities given to the reserves will permit them to attain a high state of readiness so that they can fill what we call the gap.
Well, of course, that depends on what the recommendations turn out to be, and we can't be sure about that until tomorrow afternoon. Perhaps, though, in order to explain what the kinds of recommendations that will certainly be made will mean, I ought to explain what will be done with them. The recommendations of the Assembly will be printed in large quantities and distributed widely throughout the state, particularly to people who have influence and make decisions, such as legislators and members of city governments and county governments and citizens generally, to the extent that we can reach them. We hope, of course, that the press and the other media will find it worthwhile to give them even wider dissemination.
Really, the profession is accountable to the public at large rather than to any particular part of the public. The local doctor, for instance, is not accountable to the local parent. He is accountable to his profession for practicing medicine in that community according to the best standards of the profession.
Who's the teacher accountable to?
Now, the teacher, if we were properly organized, the teacher would be accountable first to his profession. But my point was that the way schools are organized at the present time, we hold the teacher accountable to the employer rather than to the profession. And the employer may or may not be able to exercise that accountability, but if he does, he'll be cued to the local community, and the local community may not even want the best education.
For what we consider major proposals that should be instigated would be the low-level dams to create a body of water in the river in this 8-mile area from, say, University Drive to the Sycamore Creek area, or at least up to the Texas Electric Dam where the water exists now. That would be one project that we're consider high priority. The light show proposed that would be done by private industry, hopefully, Texas Electric, would be another fine attraction for the city of Fort Worth.
The airlines of the United States favor funding of a prototype test program to find out the problems of economics and safety and environment worthiness of the airplane. This is the 22nd year of the supersonic age. The military have been flying airplanes for nearly a quarter of a century. None of the horrors that have been discussed on the Senate floor have occurred. But we airlines have put up $82 million. Pan Am alone has put up $18 million banking on the prototype testing to prove the worth of the airplane. The manufacturers have put up $206 million. This is not a giveaway or a subsidy. This is a joint partnership between the manufacturers, the airlines, and the taxpayers. Let's go ahead and fly it and see if any of these horrors that some of the senators have been put up to saying about it are true.
If the funding does not come from Congress, can the airlines and other interested parties take up the burden themselves?
No, we cannot afford to make the developmental investment for a U.S. supersonic transport. But if there is no U.S. transport, we will be forced by the foreign flag carriers such as BOAC and Air France to buy some foreign-built supersonic transports in order to stay in the air transport race, which we've always been able to lead and win before now.
Reverend Weaver, why did your church members decide to undertake this program?
We have had several calls for help to people who are in need, and the children of our church back early in the fall began collecting food to give to someone, and we decided to put it all together with all organizations working together and bring it in on one Sunday rather than spreading it out from time to time through the year.
How did it work this morning?
Oh, we were thrilled. We set as our goal a ton of food to be brought to the sanctuary today and put inside the chancel rail during the worship service. We had maybe 2 tons of food. I don't know. It's been a tremendous response.
Well, is this primarily a Christmas program?
Not really, though certainly the Christmas spirit prompted it. It is a program to meet emergency needs of people who are hungry and without food all during the winter. Rather than doing it on Christmas Eve as a Christmas basket concept, we have a pantry and we will be helping people all through the year.
Big fence around it, and I've gotten 2 German Shepherd dogs, and I've armed my family and taught them how to use the weapons.
How have the burglaries here affected your family psychologically?
Well, it's been very disturbing to my wife and I, as well as our children. Particularly my little girl, I think, when she found all her stuff in her room gone through, she's had nightmares for several weeks after it happened, and it was quite traumatic.
The council may ban rock concerts at the auditorium because of excessive damage to the building in the past. City Manager Howard McMahon pointed out some of the vandalism, which includes glass broken out of doors, door fixtures damaged, obscenities painted on the walls, box seats cut and marred, and microphones and electrical cords stolen or damaged, and damage to the restrooms. Most of the damage has been repaired, but management of the auditorium would like to end the vandalism in the future. The problem may not be ended by a ban on the rock concerts themselves. The council could just raise the damage deposit on the auditorium. A figure of $5,000 has been mentioned. That, of course, would discourage any future rock concerts here. Jim Green, Channel 8 News on the Move, Fort Worth.
Well, I think that's a part of it. It seems to me that it's a community-wide problem. The schools have direct responsibility. The police department, our courts have responsibilities. The parents have responsibilities, and it requires all of us working together to solve the problem. At Pinkston in particular, we have a school community guidance center. We have a representative from the police department, representative from the juvenile court, along with 2 of our own visiting teachers. They actually office in Pinkston High School and work out of there, and we have found that that has been most successful.
Of Israel has desired to look for compensation in 2 areas, compensation figuratively speaking. One military equipment to counterbalance what has happened on the canal. And as you know, it's no secret that the United States government have responded to Israel's request in this regard. And secondly, the government has desired to obtain from the United States certain assurances vis-a-vis these negotiations. First, that this military aid of which I've just spoken would continue throughout 71 and beyond, no matter how these negotiations would go, no matter how the chips would fall in these negotiations. Secondly, we have a great financial problem. That is going to be the main subject of my briefing here in Dallas, as it is in every community. We have a tremendous financial burden. I'll say something about this perhaps in a moment. And there are the beginnings of the United States' response to these needs. As you know, for the first time in the history of my country, it has occurred onto Congress to ask for an appropriation for military needs for Israel. That's never yet happened before. We've had civilian aid over the years from the United States, but never in the military area.
Christmas and the Salvation Army. For some people in Dallas County, you can't have one without the other. Today, the Salvation Army Welfare Center in Dallas opened its doors for a free shopping spree for 4,000 qualified mothers. Stocked with some 18,000 toys and games, the toy shop will be open until December 19th to serve the mothers who have applied for assistance through the Army's Christmas Cheer program. Volunteers are on hand to assist the mothers in making their selections from toys purchased by the Army or donated by employees of the Federal Business Association and by individual citizens in various Dallas-based organizations. This is Analita Barbosa. Mrs. Barbosa, how many children are you getting toys for?
Well, I'm getting toys for 4 boys and 2 girls.
Are they excited about Christmas?
Yes, ma'am, they are.
Do you think they'll have a big Christmas this year?
Well, they will. It all depends if my husband has his operation before or after Christmas.
Do you think they will have any other toys besides the ones you've gotten here at the Salvation Army?
I don't think so, except if their grandparents send them any.
This year, there are more families than ever that are applying for welfare. And this year, as they have for the past 105 years, the Salvation Army is playing Santa Claus. This is Judy Hanna for Channel 8 News on the Move.
The Fort Worth Police Department may soon add an inspection services department designed to streamline operations of police activity. Today, the City Council voted to submit an application for funds from the Criminal Justice Council, and if the application is approved, about $53,000 of the $88,000 needed for the first year's operation of the new department will be furnished in federal funds. I asked Police Chief T.S. Walls what the main function of the Inspection Services Department will be.
We hope this department will assist us in improving all of our policies, procedures, improving the performance of our equipment, as well as the utilization of each officer's time. This is the main things we hope to gain out of this. We feel that there are some areas in which we probably can make better use of the individual's time, and we think it'll streamline the whole operation. We've operated under some policies and procedures and rules and regulations for some 20 years in some areas.
Chief Walls said he hopes to institute the new department by the 1st of February. He said the $35,000 in city funds needed would, in his opinion, save the city that much money and more. Jim Green, Channel 8 News on the Move, Fort Worth.
I hesitate to say anything about Mr. Wright, complimentary or otherwise, because he's so quick with the quip that he's bound to leave me speechless.
I won't say nothing.
Well, I'm going to say this, Punch. That you to me, and I'm sure to all members of the court.
Don't say it unless you need it.
All right, sir. That you epitomize honor and integrity. And if I had just one line to describe you, it would be that Ms. Wright, that Punch Wright is an honorable man.
Well, I don't think it was made on a partisan basis. I think he selected a man he felt could do the job. And I think, obviously, it's going to help the president in Texas. I think this assures that Texas will carry for President Nixon in 1972.
Using that, then, why would Connolly accept the job if he thought it would solidify the president and, say, John Tower in the state?
Well, I'm sure that he'll have some remarks to make about that himself, but I think he obviously must want to help his country, and he must feel that basically that the president is trying to do the right things.
The increasing complexity of living in an urban government and dealing with a bureaucracy has brought on not only the need for such services to the public as Contact 8, but its counterparts in city government. Monday, December 14th, the city of Dallas begins its own referral service to the public. It's called Action Center, and its director is Kent Bullock. What kind of services do you hope to provide to the public?
Teal, we're trying to work in 3 areas. We want to be able to provide referral services to citizens both within the city government and within all services available within the Dallas area, federal, state, and county. We also want to be able to provide information about local government and about the personalities within the government. We also hope to be able to process service requests of all forms, whether citizens are having problems with getting a dog out of the pound or having their garbage picked up. Now, many of these things we're going to be working on a general basis, and others will deal with each individual specifically, depending on the type of request that comes into Action Center.
What request can't you deal with?
Well, the main thing that we can't do is correct some kind of normal procedure within a city government. For example, if a citation is issued by the police department or by any of the code inspectors, we certainly can't come along and fix a ticket. We're not equipped to do anything like this. We can provide the information as to what the procedures are involved and to explain that the municipal judges are the ones that weigh the merits of a case of this nature. We'll be available in a number of directions. First of all, here at the counter, here in the first floor lobby of the municipal building, also through the mail if citizens would like to write to us. And we're also available by direct lines into Action Center. The number is 744-2233. We'll be having referral service from this. Now, if a citizen calls us about a water bill and they want to have it fixed, as an example, they want to have some information about this. We don't have those records, and the only thing we can do is explain to the citizen that we'd like to transfer them to the correct part of the Water Utilities Department.
So the answers to your direct Dallas City problems are available here at the Dallas Action Center, either in person or by their phone, 744-2233. And of course, Contact 8, as always, is interested in hearing any or all of your community problems. Our number, of course, is 744-2940. This is Teal Salon.